Uh, Let me explain what the purpose of this session is. We want to help all of you to understand the several measures that you can take to improve your business performance, including turning losses into profits. Now, turning losses into profit, I have achieved in many countries, from multinationals to SMEs or even smaller companies. So that's my specialty. I hope that you will take this time to learn as we hope to mentor you and groom you to a session. As you know, the time is limited, but with this limited time, I hope to explain uh, what are the things, what are the essentials, to outline what are the essentials that you have to see. Now, why are you here? Because I believe some of the companies that you are working for, or you could be the owner or the director of a company, you are not performing well. You could be you could be struggling with losses. You could be struggling with profits. No matter what, um, I can see from the faces that they look very concerned. But what I want to tell you is that you should not be concerned. We can make a change, irrespective of the circumstances of the country, irrespective of the circumstances of the economy. So I like everybody to think in a very positive manner, because most of the people also must be in the dilemma that what must I do? I have been incurring losses. Should I close down or should I venture into something? What must I do? Now, we are there to help you. We will help you through some of these things. These are very difficult decisions, but I see that most of the companies can be turned around. Although you have incurred losses for over a period of time. I have been a director and I have been the group chief financial of a group of companies where we incurred losses. One of the companies, I don't want to mention the name of that company. We had incurred losses for 8 long years. And the board decided that we should close that company because 8 long years. And myself and the chairman said, we'll give 1 more year. They turn it around today. They are making huge profits, unbelievable profits in US dollar terms, and contributing a lot even to the economy by earning a lot of foreign exchange. I'm also specialized in start your own business. Some of you might want to venture out. I will have a separate session on start your own business. We'll have a webinar on that. Now, I suggest that all the participants participate in that startup, because uh, to get the maximum benefit of this, you have to not only follow this webinar, you also need to follow the startup business so that you will know where we will guide you through from the start of a business. When I say start, I'll explain what a startup is, right? To the, it's like manufacturing aircraft, because it really helps me to explain through an aircraft, manufacturing aircraft to a taking off and to run smoothly. So, so I strongly recommend that all of you to participate in the webinar that will be organized by COSMI. Now, startup, I need to just start up. I will elaborate at the webinar on startup, but a startup is where we meet the people, we talk to them, what their ideas are, and we see whether that will work or not. irrespective of some of the environments with certain businesses, like if you take the like the tourism sector is a very vulnerable one. Now, should we start a very vulnerable business like tourism? Yes or no? But my answer is yes, because there are certain measures you can take during hard times. So what we do is we do ideas, we just think. Some of the businesses, I just want to tell you that we'll never go out of business or out of the market. Food business, everybody has to eat. Undertakers, people die. So not that I'm saying that everybody should be there, but we will come out with some ideas. And when Mr. Nawaz has lots of very good ideas, we come out with lots of ideas to tell you what are the other businesses. And then we will see whether that's your passion. Then we'll do a feasibility study, detailed one, and then we will select what sort of a company you want to do for the start, right? Because you might be thinking of the wrong thing. Because when you are thinking of a business, you must have a, you don't think of 1 year, you don't think of 2 years, you must think of maybe 50 years, maybe the next generation. So that is the kind of startup that we will help you to do, so that, and we will create that foundation. If that's the foundation of a building, it's not strong, it is very difficult. You know, if it's a high-rise building, it can get tilted and it can collapse. But here, where you have already started, that's where we have come in as the revival of businesses, where now there are modern methods that even if the long high-rise buildings get tilted, we try to sort of stop it tilting and try to stay there. There are some scientific ways of doing this. I'm not an engineer, so I can't say. So that's what we are going to do. As I said, that we will outline all the necessary steps for any kind of business, irrespective of the size, irrespective of the circumstances. Forget the political interferences, forget the economy. We can do it. Sometimes we might have to maybe exports. I'm not saying exports is the only way there. So as Nilu explained, if you need anything in Sinhala, this will be conducted in English. But if you need any explanation in Sinhala, Samantha has volunteered to help us, and then I think even in Tamil, one gentleman has volunteered to help in detail. Thank you very much for that. But question and answer, there'll be a question and answer session. In that session, you have the opportunity to ask in any language, English, Sinhala. You don't have to feel shy. We are there to help you. But I must emphasize, to be a real success, what we can tell you is the theory. Businesses differ from business to business. Problems of the businesses differ from business to business. So my model will be a very general one. I can't give a tailor-made one unless we go on one-on-one basis. Now, if I have to, with my team, visit any location in Sri Lanka, I'm prepared to do that. It doesn't matter whether you come from Jaffna or Batiklo or Hambantota or anywhere. I'm prepared to even come. And of course, we'll have to have several companies together and help them out one by one, groom them, make sure that company not only revise, we turn around that company. And we will not leave you until you start making profits, what I call real profits. Most people, the accountants, yes, I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but the fact is that most people arrive at a profit and loss or income statement and says, this is your profit. And most of the entrepreneurs get carried away thinking, okay, I have achieved that profit. Now I must distribute dividends or drawings uh, out of that. Now that's where most of these companies collapse. But I call it, you can call it a profit. But what I call is, this is my own definition. I mean, if it's on a one-on-one session, I can prove beyond reasonable doubt that what you get in a profit and loss cannot be distributed. There are a lot of examples. Loan repayments. You need money for loan repayments. You are disregarding in that profit. So there are a lot of hidden things. You might say, yes, I have chartered accountants, yes, but this is, I'm telling you, talking through experience where I have come out with my own definition of profit. Because even when I do a startup or when I do a revival, I don't want that company to go down. I want it to go up or to maintain its level. So please contact the organizers, or at the end of the slide that we will have our details, company details. If you should you need one-on-one, either through Zoom, we can take it, or we can take it through a location. That would be the most important thing, because we'll have to interview people, we'll have to look at, analyze, which I'll do in my presentation. I always say that business is like an aircraft or a human body. It has many parts and it has many functions, but all the parts must function together. Even aircraft, you have to have, I want you to give a very patient hearing as to why I brought this example of of an aircraft. I saw one of the participants having an aircraft. I was very fascinated with that, because that's the first slide that we are going to have. So aircraft has a lot of parts, and if any of those parts, you have some other gadgets that control the gravity, the pressure of the cabin, you have the radar, you have the wheels. I mean, this whole gamut of things. Even if you have a perfect aircraft, pilots are important. They must drive that or pilot that company. So therefore, you have to have the right people in a company. So one is your company framework, total framework from internal controls to various things must be. So when I say reviving, we look at whole gamut of everything. It's not just, so we look at every component or every part, just the way that the engineers look at every part, or the pilots. Now you can see that everything is displayed on a dashboard. So we look at every part, whether it's finance, marketing, internal controls, taxation. We look at every part and see to give the maximum benefit to our clients. That's what it is about. So other thing I want to emphasize is that when we have initially, I'll be on sessions where I'll be participating. I will make notes, but if the need arises, I have got a marketing specialist. I have got finance people who are specialized in certain areas. I have got tax experts who can reduce your tax liability. But here, I just want to tell you, we do everything above board, nothing illegal. Tax avoidance is by law, which is legal. Tax evasion, so we don't resort to tax evasion. So IT specialists, so we don't charge as much as other reputed companies where their overheads are very high. No, we don't charge because, and also you pay for the name. But unfortunately, so-called these large firms, they have mostly theoretical knowledge. I have worked for Cooper's Library in Zambia. I have done my KPMG training. I have been a manager at Pricewaterhouse in Fiji. And so I know both sides of the coin more than anybody. But the whole idea is to help you come out of the situation. Before I go for the steps, come out of the situation and to maintain that with profits or to go high. So it should be always forward and going up. We can assure you that forward and going up all the time. So let's go into our slides. As I have emphasized, you can see this slide shows the takeoff. So this the relevance to this aircraft is we will help you to rebuild your aircraft, revive your company, and we'll help you to take off. And this just as take off. As I explained before, that there are several components. You have the engines, you have these the front wheels, and these rear wheels. You have the flaps, you have the fuselage, you have the where they stay fuel. So lots of components. So for a business to work very well, it's basically all the components. I'm saying if some components are working well and others are not working well, it will be okay, but that is likely to collapse at any time. Or you will not be able to take off all the time going up and forward. Might not be possible. So that's why I'm emphasizing always, like most of the people think, okay, right, now most of the people might think it's sales. I have to increase my sales and cut cost. No, it's not as simple as that, what you think. We look at every component, even look at your cost of, if you are doing into trading or even manufacturing, we look at your cost of manufacture. We look at where are ways to reduce your cost of manufacture or cost of your purchase price. We look at your entire supply chain. We look at, if you are in production, we look at your production planning. We look at the production side. So I just want to again say how important their marketing side. Marketing is about it's about strategy, lot of strategy. Now, you might also have this problem because you have competitors. I mean, quite a number of businesses have competitors. So when you have competitors, how do you compete with others? So if you get all these aspects right, like the marketing aspect and all that, now that's why I have got the arguably the best marketer in this country and one of the best in the world. I have it. Like they come out with some ideas where you could be always on top. So I can assure you that our object is to take you to fly high, and we will try to cover as much as we can in this program. Moving on, we can see the light bulb. It's like a light bulb. It's like company is struggling. It's like a light that has been switched off or not working, or you don't have the full strength of the light. You can see the various component of the globe. You can see various components giving light as much as, so that's why all these must be in full force, full brightness, all the components of your company. I'm emphasizing, I'm re-emphasizing, I continue to re-emphasize, because you can see how important. What happens if some of these get fused? You have half the light. So I'm trying to emphasize, because if you don't appreciate, I know most of the people don't understand or appreciate the importance of that. all the components must be right. So when we evaluate, we look at all the components. But basically what we do is we do just a quick run through of your, not a detailed one initially, and then prioritize what are the important, we prioritize them. And then we go into detail and put things right. So, so we can assist you in giving strategic ideas. That's a very good, important thing, strategic ideas, because we are in a competitive world. We have to always have something better than the others. Unique selling proposition. So out of the box thinking. Now that's where our forte is. So you have to think out of the box. Then we have to guide you, we'll implement this. Now, you might just ask this question, aren't you doing consultancy work? No, we are managing your services. Consultants normally what they do is, they will come and say, do these things and it will be right. They share their knowledge and know-how. But what we do is we analyze all the components, then we'll discuss with your staff, we'll come out with some ideas, then we discuss with your staff, we'll discuss with the management, we'll discuss with the directors or the owners and say, what do you think? So we will implement in conjunction with them. And then we will monitor and see whether it's working well. And we will only take our hands off only once it's working very smoothly. So our idea is to make sure everything works so smoothly. So our company motto is, the tagline is steering your business. So we have to steer your business. That's what we will do, and that's what we will achieve. So we will ensure your business success. That's the most important thing. We will ensure. But if you can, from whatever you gather from the slides, you can try out if you like. And if you think that it can be a success, you can, maybe to some extent you might be able to do it. But if you're satisfied, you don't need then if you think you don't need our assistance, you can go ahead and do it. But it's my duty to outline. And should you require services, we are there for you. Moving on. I just want to tell you why are most of these businesses struggle swelled up largely due to this recent COVID-19 pandemic and downturn in the economy in quite a number of countries. In fact, it's in many countries all over the world. And this world, the directors, because of the economy, because of the outside factors, the COVID-19 and all that, most of the directors, the owners and the management of the companies have got heartaches or heart attacks. Some of them have died because they were doing so well. The businesses that were doing very well collapsed. Businesses that were not doing well, such as selling of face masks, selling of gloves and so on, they are doing extremely well. Now, but then what do you do in a situation like that? Sometimes you have to suspend. Take the example of Brandix and Mars. They have been doing all these very branded items. Some of them. And then what happened is that they had to switch for temporary until such time the COVID situation brings under control. They have to, and the economy improves, they have turned into face masks. So that's why you have to be quick. And then, so what am I trying to say? You have to be prepared all the time, because you might say, COVID, it might, how long? But we have always had problems in this country. I mean, we have had different catastrophes in this country, some for several decades, some for several months. What about the tsunami that we had? Now the COVID, what's next? So but our idea is, if you make sure that, and awareness that anything can, we have to be, I think this COVID is a very good eye-opener where I realized that quite a number of people have diversified. Yeah, you should be in a position just to transform. It's like these transformers, you know, we watch these films with these transformers and so on. So it's like you should be able to transform some of this into that. Because if you're in the garment industry, like mass doing lingerie and so on, nobody is going to buy that. You should be able to switch. So what we will do is we will also make you aware of the environment. And if some emergency, you can always contact our company and we said, what must I do? We'll know how to turn it around at that point. So that's why I'm saying, that's why I brought this for aircraft. The way we look at it is that you will always go forward and upwards and never to come down. So, so many struggle to hang on. Now, the other problem is most of the people, if you talk to people all over the world, most of the businesses, they say they are struggling to hang on, to recover their strengths. Some businesses will survive, while the others will be forced to close down. Resulting from continuous losses in the absence of a sound mentor, somebody to help them out, So when your company faces uphill task, uphill battle, it seems almost impossible to choose between reviving and closing it. Now, this is a very important point. And after that, before I go on to the next slide, I want people to ask questions, or because I have been doing some talking, I want people to think of, meditate on what I said and think and ask few questions or some clarifications, maybe in Sinhala or something, because otherwise you might not remember everything what I say. So these are some of the, now again, before I give that opportunity to you, I want to say that often businesses are faced with, all of you, if not all of you, at least few of you, must be now wondering, should I close this business? What must I do? I've been incurring losses. I brought the example for 8 years, but how long can you sustain? So our expertise is to guide you in situations like, should you close? Most of the businesses, I don't say no, but maybe whilst doing that, you slow it down and you might venture into a different one. Because one day the business that's not doing well, you don't have to completely shut down. Maybe it might go up, but you will then venture out into something else that will keep you going for now. And then that will compensate for the losses that you're currently making. So these are some of the ideas, not all, some of the ideas I'm throwing, because we can't explain, again, not knowing what sort of a company you are in, and what sort of, without knowing what sort of a problem, you might think these are my problem areas, that it might not be the real problem areas. Sometimes, example, if you take a human body, I mean, most of the people say I have gastritis, but to see it's not gastritis. It's a heart failure or a heart attack. So because there are similar ones. So you have to go and see a doctor, right doctor, to see what the real problem is. So before I go further, I would like to give this opportunity to for people to clarify whatever they want. Maybe in Sinhala, or you want me to explain, if you want me to elaborate more on certain things, I'm prepared to help you at this time. Yeah, no, shall we ask people to ask?
No, I think, Nilu, I think I should come in and speak just on the presentation. I must get some clarification.
Yes, Mr. Nawaz, please.
And I think his presentation is excellent, and I think people should follow this up. What I really like about this, if you're in a trade, for example, if you're in a research, you have to look for new business. You have to diversify, which is very, very true. I also support that initiative. For example, he was talking about the masks that have been produced and people have made so much of money. I can also tell you some of those small aluminium fabricating industry for doors, windows are permanently closed. They were not able to do anything. And they can't even find the administrative costs. COVID, they took COVID as an opportunity. This is all the time, that is our status every day. Every time we say take COVID as an opportunity, like the tsunami. All of them turn around, manufacturing wash basins, pedestal type wash basin to wash their hands. And there was a severe demand of this box type aluminium wash basin with the pedestal. And they made quite a large amount of money, not even in their own earlier original business they made. I really, I'm thankful for you to say that, but I'm giving you example how people said this. And I was also shocked. He said, my business, I was not making all that money. See, the opportunities created to me and I did this. Now, for example, Mr. Dissanayake, most of the people working in and around Colombo, they either lay down or they have to work from home. Now, for example, if you're in the travel industry or a travel agent, you think you can work from home, there is nobody flying out, that nobody is coming in, no hotel booking. They turn around. They said, okay, let us forget about it, give up our business, give up our overhead charges, paying 100,000 rupees a month. We'll move into the house with 2 rooms and we will start the business. What did they do? They started packing dry rations and depending on the price, from 1,000 to 4,000 rupees a pack. The number of orders they got now. In my capacity, I think so many people are finding it extremely difficult. I don't wish to give them anybody any money. So I will give, okay, 20 bags of rations packet for me. Like this, so many people, these guys who worked on this couldn't keep up because the order was so big. Instead of giving 10,000 rupees to a person, 20,000 to a person, they themselves started doing this with the same staff. And that was an excellent opportunity. And I remember one of my close relation of mine who was doing showroom business in clothing. I was shocked when I saw him. He has more than 150 small boxes stacked up in the house. I said, what is this? He said, no, I got an order. No, I can't take up any more orders. That's an opportunity created. I think Mr. Jagath is very correct in saying, don't wait for the traditional business that you have been doing for 2 generations. You can't do that. You have to move. You have to move out. I have done it my life. I have done the same thing. I have gone from A to B to C. I have gone, by now I have done more than 22 businesses in my own capacity. So this message must go to the people. And this message is excellent. For example, I'm talking about the North and East and regional chambers, regional district. Whatever produce that they have, they can also send it. Knowing there are Colombo people who are packing, there are people in Chanti packing, they can send it. So nothing will get wasted because they have if they can't supply, they can even outsourcing the supply because they are also helping another 3 people to market it. I said, this is a good idea, Mr. Jagath, and I'm very happy this mode you told the people who are participating, and we will carry this message to the entire 25 district. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nawaz. Yeah, what I feel is that the problem is that most of the people think that they need a lot of capital. They don't need a lot of capital. This is what the problem is. I mean, I will emphasize on startup. Maybe if you have 1,500 rupees, there are businesses you can start and grow. It's not the money. You can use your talent. You have to come out with out of the box ideas. And I must say that the people have made, some have made a lot of money, lots and lots of, now in the international market, I know the gloves and masks, these are international products, these 3M products, people are making, the people who are facilitating in between. I know a doctor in US, he has made with one deal. He was just facilitating. He was not the buyer, he was not the seller. He made $30 million. Some people make $100 million. I mean, of course, I mean, that's a very tough business to begin. So always, when something happens, we have to look at the opportunities that create. So if they want any help, we are there to help them. Yeah, that's what. Yes, yeah. I think it's a, thank you very much. I mean, I think that was a very good. I think you summarized what I said in a very way, a nice way, and then you managed to get through to them.
Mr. Dissanayake, there is a question from one of our participants, and
Yeah.
maybe Mr. Nawaz can also contribute to the same answer.
Yeah.
Sanjeeva Dias, he asks us, what are the new business opportunities in current context in order to start a new business?
Yeah, there are lots of business opportunities. It again depends on, that's a question that you cannot answer. It's very difficult to, now we can say, okay, if it's in the short term, if they want to do in the current context, short term, like the mask, is short term to medium term, long term. But the way I look at is the long term, right? Now, if you take the, as I mentioned, the food business, right? If you take the education business, right? Education, entertainment, right? I mean, that kind of thing will always low, but you need lots of capital. But the question, while I appreciate the question, you have to also see what your passion is. You must not think as a business. Now, number one, you have to question ask is, am I doing this question? You have to ask yourself this question. Am I doing this in the short term? Am I doing for short term media, or am I doing this from the long term? Right? Just take advantage of the situation. Right? But I would prefer people who think of the long term. Yes, even if you do short term, you have to do long term as well, because you have to think what happens when that finishes. So that's number one. Number two is that most of the people, you have to see what you have to have passion, like the food industry. Do you have a passion for them? Say you don't know anything. Say you are an engineer. You don't know anything about food industry. But if you have the passion, then you have to study all about that industry, about the food. If you are going to do, we say a small supermarket, mini market, not a supermarket, a mini market, you have to study that business. You have to have people who have experience in that business. So you can give business ideas. Mr. Nawaz can give some business ideas. But what I feel is that I always talk of sustainable business. Now, if you want to start on the mask business, the glove business, they are very good in the short term. I mean, short term, medium term, maybe 2 years the most, right? But you have to look at how much capital you have. But I would rather, my advice is you have to go with the passion. Because if you have a passion, if you have a liking for what you want to do, you can take it forward. And ideally, it's something that you should know. It should not be totally alien. If you are an engineer, you should not try to be in the medical one, right? I mean, medical is something connected to the medical. You should not be there. So that's my answer. But Mr. Nawaz can tell some of the businesses, current businesses. But my outlook is, I come out in a very different way, because we think of sustainable profits. If you have to have sustainable profits, you have to have so much of ingredients in that. Maybe Mr. Nawaz could come in and we can ask that gentleman whether we have answered then after Mr. Nawaz's explanation. Mr. Nawaz, if you could chip in, please. Yeah.
I agree with you because first of all, even to do a business, there must be an innovation. I don't think people sitting at home without making any effort, they can do business and make money. No way. They have to now, for example, you have to think very far. I have also now supported few of the people, and I was also chairing the Industrial Development Board, and I was myself planned to teach people how to make money. Because, you know, the women entrepreneurs make more money than the men because they go to work with a fixed salary. If you ask the women entrepreneur, she will make more than what the husband brings home. But probably they don't divulge how much they make also. That's another problem. So they want to save. You know, for example, I have indicated, you want to buy pure bees honey. Now I have got in touch with 3 organizations, not here, completely out of Colombo. That's where the all those pure beef honey is coming. What do? They pack in an old Arak bottle and they bring them to Colombo. You and I will not buy an old Arak bottle and take it home. You have to drink the whole bottle. How long can you wait for it? So there are new packaging with 150 ml, 250 ml, 300 ml, which will cut the cost to 1/4. So if you take 150 ml, you're not going to drink that. That will last for a month or 2. Sometimes it all depends. Now see, everybody is selling bees honey, but most important thing is branding. Branding is very important. Without the brand, everybody will put. So you register the brand. I'm sure Jagath can help people to support them on branding, brand, and then sell. Then you have a box of 650 ml bottles. I'm sure you will be able to market it in the thing. Today, because of the COVID, the best marketing is e-marketing. Because I myself has called so many people to deliver the goods to me, and it is done. And my transport is there. The transport charge is only 100, 200 rupees from Colombo. Some people don't even charge me. They said no transport charges. You only pay for the product. So you have to think out of the box, as you rightly said. And then now see, even though we are locked down, you mean to say children of age of 5, 4, 3 to 6 at home, they also locked down? No, they also want to have their birthday parties. They also want to have not the crowd, but at least the family. So some of the women entrepreneurs, I'm very proud to say, post-COVID businesses they started by the women entrepreneurs. It has gone over 4,000 people. And everybody on the e-marketing, everybody calls and said, okay, send me this, send me this. It's about 20,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. So for a day, if they sell 3,000, 4,000 rupees, calculate for 20 days. There's already 80,000 rupees. Say 50% of the thing is cost of the thing. So as you rightly said, of course, for these cakes and other things, you can't brand, but product-wise, for example, tea, I have had a meeting with a famous person who has worked in the tea industry, and he's laid down, he has 30 years of experience in the tea. I'm giving my my support and my advice as a friend, somebody suffering from this whole issue. They can't live on the wife's income. There are 3 children in the house. I have told him, I will team up with you, with 3 other people. We will all contribute the funds. You don't contribute the equal amount of fund that we are contributing. You can take that amount of money as your branding of the tea. Because if you see the best brand of tea and the no brand of tea, everything is the same. You really get the tea taste. Not that we get anything new. Because it is the branding. So now I said value addition is very important today. Value addition is important. Value addition for tea branding, that will go hand in hand. Still, it is open. Still, people can do that. And I'm sure we can do on the export, we can get into the export market. In fact, I was also very keen that we should have Sri Lanka Standard Institute, where one of our members are on the board, to advise the small timers how you can't export without a standard. But I'm shocked when I went abroad the last time, the number of Sri Lankan products, all eatables like small chocolate, jaggery, all that, all has come from Sri Lanka. Nobody knows. And, we have to develop the trade. Probably one exporter who is doing this, he will not divulge this. But he doesn't realize his demand is 10 times more. He's only supplying 5% of the demand and not allowing other people to do it. I think on the contrary, we can do that. And I'm sure Export Development Board also will help. I'm also in the advisory panel of Export Development Board. If there's anybody wants assistance, I'm always there to support them. So these are few things, the innovation, how we could start the whole operation. The innovation is very important. You can go to the supermarket and see what are the packaging. Bring the small packs. Instead of having 1 liter, bring it to 100 and 200 ml, 300 ml. There are enough packaging that is in the market for 30, 40 rupees a bottle. So I'm sure branding is important. I'm sure Mr. Jagath will help us to get the branding done properly. Or you can identify a brand and give them. Most of the people, and I don't want anybody to identify any brand, but it has to be a good brand for the international market. Of course, we have to have Ceylon or Sri Lanka in our thing, so that we must be proud that we are exporting this from our country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nawaz, Mr. Dissanayake. Just a quick reminder to everyone, you can post your questions in the chat window, or you can raise your hand. It's under this button called reactions. If you have any immediate questions. There is one more question. Mr. Dissanayake, would you like to take it, or would you like to proceed and take it?
I would like to take it, yes. Please.
Okay. Prabodha Vidanagamage is asking, he is actually making a statement and then asking a question. Sri Lanka also slapped severe import controls after the central bank printed large volumes of money, destabilizing a soft dollar peg with the US dollar, driving the rupee close to 200 to the US dollar at one point, creating even more problems for exporters. Under these import controls, how can businesses survive? So that is the question actually, related to import controls.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen, for that question. What happens is that we can't control, in my speech, I said we cannot control sort of outside circumstances. But if you have to, there are certain things like, I know, tea. There are times that people would import and then this thing. Of course, then you'd have to go through the chamber and see whether you can explain to the government the importance of importing, if it is not for trading, in order to export. So there are different forums that you can address. But meanwhile, you have to do, if you want to, you must try to manage with local, my advice is you must try to manage with local, whatever it's made locally, because the government as an exporter, actually I like to sort of, so if possible to meet him up and then help him out, because as an exporter, there are lots of incentives that are given, even loan exports and things like that. We can get it through commercial banks rather in Sri Lanka. So exporters, we have to, I'm sure Mr. Nawaz also through this Export Development Board, because he's the advisor, you'll be able to help. So there are always try to manage with without depending on the government restrictions. In fact, the dollar depreciation of the dollar should definitely have a favorable effect on, or favorable thing on your business, because I mean you pay your workers, your yes, you might say your machinery is some of the machinery that are used, because when you say I don't know what your industry is, without knowing the industry, I'm just bringing the example of tea, that there are certain things that you can convince through the export board. I think Mr. Nawaz will be able to enlighten on that and get this one. But I don't see any reason why an exporter should have any problem whatsoever. Unless we really go into detail what's our business, what his exact problem is. Maybe because it's related to export and Mr. Nawaz is an advisor to the Export Development Board. Would you like to chip in, Mr. Nawaz?
Yes, actually, I don't know what the issues are. I'm sure Nilu can send my contact details, and I certainly don't mind having a one-to-one meeting with him to see how best I could support him and get his product. But one more thing I'm telling you, if you have to import some of the items like garment or another, where you have to import at 180 rupees dollar value and come here to manufacture, definitely we are going to export it. And you will also get the same amount of money on your export, but only difference is we will not be able to make money, the difference of that dollar. All Sri Lanka produce that are here, it has not gone up very much because they are struggling to sell, so they are not going to increase the prices. So now you're better off if I have sold 1,000 bottles at $10 per bottle. Now I can't sell for $10. I had to bring it down, but I still sell for $10. What I got for 130 rupees, now I'm getting 190 rupees. So the super profit comes to you. So that is why some of the products that are going out of this country are good product, bad packaging, no branding. If you really really attend on the branding and new packaging, then I'm sure you can charge for that also. Now you don't import the packaging. You don't import bottles are manufactured here. Some of the bottles are imported. Some of the imported bottles are cheaper than what are manufactured here. So I'm sure we can have one-to-one meeting. I'm always available to support them.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nawaz. Nilu, you can also mention to him, because I also like to find out what this problem is.
Yes.
Because maybe, yeah, you could give our contact as well, because maybe he's getting some of the packaging could be from China at a cheap cost, and now he's struggling. But there are ways of somehow getting it. So there is always a way, and I don't see. If an exporter says that we are struggling, I really like to sort of find out what it is and help them out.
Yes, I think the basic analysis boils down to the fact that it's subjective based on what specific questions, problems that this gentleman is facing. Prabodha, if you can unmute yourself and kind of focus on your specific problem, or you can get in touch with us at the end of this webinar. I'll be sharing our contact details with you. Please feel free to get in touch with us like Mr. Dissanayake and Mr. Nawaz suggested. Or you can speak up now and kind of pinpoint your question.
Nilu, I think some people like to basically, I mean, some of the questions they don't like to. There are specific questions to be shared in a forum like this. Some people don't like to, but we can still give time till at the end of the session. Maybe we'll have the proper Q&A.
Yes,
session.
sure. Then
so
we'll
maybe
proceed with the program.
Yeah, I'll proceed with this. Yes, I think. Yes, gentlemen, like moving on. Yes. Now, what happens? What's happening currently is that most of the business and some of the businesses that you're faced with is, I guess, not doing well. You know, it keeps sometimes maybe certain months, it just goes up certain months, but overall, you can see it's coming down. I mean, I use, if you look at the forecast also, right? If you look at your preparer, say that you are here, somewhere here, and then you're forecasting, because one of the things that I have to explain to you at this time is emphasize every business should have a forecast. It is irrespective whether you are a mushroom company, very small company, a small, what you call a boutique, or even a small, very small place, to a large company, they have to have a forecast. So this is where most of the problems can come up, because your forecast, when you see it's coming down. If you prepare, please prepare forecast, especially cash forecast. Otherwise, you are going to be in trouble. It's just like driving a car without any of the meters. You don't know when the petrol runs out. You don't know when the temperature goes out, that till the engine gets busted up. If it's so, this is a very important thing, the forecast. So so if your forecast is this is where now you are in a dilemma. What must I do? This is a decision we take. So we will outline. So if you can turn it, then allowing this to go up, that is fine by yourself with this after the session. Of course, especially after the startup webinar session, as I said, that it has to be done in conjunction to get the maximum benefit, right? So otherwise, we can help you to get it like this. You can always because what happens is that your business, this is what your business should be. The gold coins, basically, gold is wealth. Now here where I'm saying, you must be thinking, this is, I'm talking only of the profit. To some extent, yes, but I'm looking at because when you say, sometimes it's very difficult to go on a straight line, that some months you can have a dip. You know, that happens in just like an aircraft, you have turbulence. Just it comes down, again it goes up, but it's not going to crash. But you have to make sure. So here, I'm referring to the gold coins here, the wealth. I'm talking about the net wealth. You know, the profit is also part of your net wealth. What's important in a business is how much you increase your net wealth of the company. Not only the profit is only a component of your wealth. So these all depict wealth. This is where most of the people go wrong, is that the wealth. So if you have a substantial wealth, this also gives you an opportunity to venture out in case of a problem like COVID or something. You have the wealth. Wealth is not necessarily the money. It can have, you can have properties, you can have equipment. It's the ability, whatever you possess, that has the ability to either to sell and make money, or either to make use of that particular one, is what I call wealth. I mean, this is, if you Google, wealth might give a different definition. I'm saying I'm redefining some of these things for the purpose of this the exercise. So this is, you must always try to increase not only profitability. This is what we are. This is our business. Increase your wealth. Profit is only matter. So as the slide says, however, if you follow the below steps for SMEs, the next step I'm going to do is, if you follow the steps for SMEs, large companies, including multinationals, you will at least know that basically quite a number of things you can do. Again, depending on your business and things like that, just by just like what that question, it was a very generic question, so it's very difficult for us to explain. Yeah. So moving on. Yeah. So what we do is we have to find out the reason why a business is struggling. You might think, yes, as I explained, you might think, I'm having gastric, it's gastric, but it's not your gastric. So you have to see the proper guide, or we can help you find out exactly what the problem or problems are. There are always in the business, I see multiple problems. I'm yet to come across it. Even I'm Fortune 500 companies, I have worked with them. I'm yet to come across a single company that all the facets are, all components are working well. They're doing, but they can do better. I mean, their efficiency will improve further if they decide to no example, I was involved in a company, in a multinational company, where I was the vice president in charge of the entire sort of global operation, and I had to look after a company in Bangladesh. I don't wish to name the company. And I brought a thing called treasury management. So they are saving every year, because of what I did, about $3 million every year. Now that's a multinational company. They have had all these qualified people who are in my position also. But with that, I had to put some effort. So that's another area that I'm very good at, treasury management. Treasury management is an area that most of the people don't even understand what treasury management is. It's a huge area. It's all to do with money. How you manage your money, how you manage your loans, how you restructure your loans. What do you do with, if you have, even for one day, if you have little cash idly, what do you do with that money? So you have to find out the reason. This is the most important thing. Find out the reason. Find out the reason, not reason. As I say, reasons why a business is struggling. If you can do by yourself, it's well and good. So our approach will be, we will do a diagnostic procedure. A diagnostic procedure is an examination to identify specific areas of weaknesses and strength in order to determine the condition of a business. I think I have explained. Now I'm going to detail doing a complete diagnostics. And also what we do is we carry out, or you must carry out, a chain of steps. If you can do your own test, it's okay. Test to be carried out to conclude and identify the areas for improvement. Maybe in your business, you might identify 2 areas. But what is the guarantee that other areas are working smoothly, other areas are running efficiently? That could pull down some of the areas that they are doing well. So these are some of the things that you have to do it. Now, when we say steps, now this is, you can see this is more of a CAT scan, CT scan, and something similar to MRI, although they have 2 different functions, 2 ways of getting it, right? So what we do is, just like if there was any equipment, just like can you do CT or MRI scan? It can only go into a particular area and see what the problems are, but it doesn't show you your problems in your blood. So if somebody wants to do a full checkup, what do? You have to check your blood pressure, you have to check your temperature, you have to check your brain, you have to check your entire body. You have to do a complete check of everything, every part of your body. Now, every part of your body. So just imagine, compare this business to a part of the body. So you have to check. You have to check your eyes, you have to check your nose, the mouth. Every part is functioning well. So what we do is, we carry out, I'm saying when we carry out, that is our approach, but you can do it yourself. You can always do yourself. I mean, if you can assess with whatever the experience I have, you have to make a list of all the tests that are needed, different types of tests, just like we do blood tests and MRIs and all these things, and identify what area. Human can run with some of the defects, but you can't, can manage, but your life, you can't have a very healthy life if some of your parts of your body is not functioning well. So it's the same with a business. So this is the steps that we do. We carry out each and every detailed check. We do much, just like MRI to that extent, or more than MRI. And then we do. So when I say we do, if you can do it, it's well and good. So it's up to you. I'm telling you, I'm guiding you through the steps that we are going through. Right. Another important thing, I have brought this aircraft, the flight deck or the cockpit. This is right. Now, one of the things that we do is, now you can see, I'm bringing a comparison with this because you can see there are so many meters when you fly. So, so many indicators. The meters will, this is what I call a dashboard, just like the dashboard of a car, right? There are so many meters. So what we will do is, what in our case, it has to be only done by, unfortunately, special people. We create a dashboard for your company. Why would I need a dashboard? Because as much as a pilot can see how the engines are functioning and how the other things are functioning from the meters, they don't have to go. We will give you meters like this. We call it a dashboard, right? Month on month basis, you'll be able to see how it's moving. We take some of the important ratios. The performance are done completely in a dashboard. So this is for the at top level. It's really good for the top level. CFO, for the CFO and upwards for the directors and all that, because normally people, humans normally like to see with pictures. They can imagine you, whatever you do, more than, I mean, we can give, just imagine somebody gives you figures, so many figures. You take so much of time, but you look at a dashboard, you can see at once. Just imagine if the pilots, like the good old days, where before these instruments were invented, they had to do some manual calculations. Just imagine that. But here, these now, I can remember many years ago, I flew 747. There were 4 seats, 747-400, 4 seats, and there were 4 people in the cockpit. Now, maximum you get is 2. Even if you do 12 hours flying, or it's 2. That's because of the instruments have taken over. What some of the humans used to do now has been taken over by this. So but the beautiful thing about the dashboard is that we are very specialized in this. This will tell you from month to month or any given time, or we can make it fine-tuned for any given time. Where are we managing efficiency in the inventory side? Are we managing our supply chain well? Are we doing our production well? So you don't have to look at figures. By looking at just like a pilot looks at this dashboard, you can look at them. There's one more important thing. We also create these dashboards, right? Of course, all these instruments, you have to input data, right? So it's what happens is that we bring a thing called dashboard. That's tailor-made exclusively for that client. It cannot fit into another one because this is exclusively, these are exclusive for this particular aircraft. And what we do is our one is tailor-made only for a particular company, not for everybody. And they will be able to see. And in addition to that, very valuable thing is that you will be able to just turn around one, just like example, the throttle. If you increase the throttle, you can see that the speed increases, right, of this aircraft. So same way, you can now see, we give you an instrument, not an instrument like this, but we give you, you can play around. But if I give a 5% discount, how much will my sales go up? It will automatically show how much would my profitability go up? How much would my wealth go up by? Right? I mean, most of the people looking at the meters might think magic. Yes, that's what we do in a business. That is the very few people in the world do these tailor-made ones. So you can reduce. Now, this is very easy. Other importance of this is for the directors make decisions. Okay, what we give 5% discount. Okay, obviously 5%, then your margin will drop, right? Margin that will also indicate in another dashboard, in a pie chart, right? It will show you this will decrease, but your profits will increase, or your profits will decrease, or then you play around. You make it 6%, you make it 7%, you make it 8%. You start from 1%. So you play around and then you get an idea. I mean, it not be, this is based on the market concept, market perception, but sometimes it might not work 100%, but it is accurate. Even these instruments are not, none of the instruments work 100% accurate. I must tell you that there's no risk, but it has a very accuracy. Maybe over 90% accuracy is good enough. So based on that, instead of calculating, just imagine you call your CFO, you call your accountant and say, if I reduce, how much is going to go? You'll have to find out the sales, all that. But all that is integrated, complete integration we do. So that you don't have to worry about that. Everything is so integrated in our dashboard that we call it AG dashboard, means Alpha Global is the name of our company, AGD. Alpha Global Dashboard, we can design for that. So this is a very important thing. Most of the companies, very few, even multinationals use this, but not to that extent. But we are unique in doing this. So you must know, even in a new business, can you apply to a new business? Yes, we'll change the model and give it to a new business. So this is one of the areas. So anyway, moving on to the checklist. As always, the checklist is important. Everybody uses, from surgeons to pilots to auditors to everybody, pilots to everybody. Evaluate the options such as whether we should stop some of the lines, introduce viable lines. Mr. Nawaz also emphasized ideas to short term, medium term, and long term, recognizing the reality. Now, this is very important when you are doing. Actually, this is, I answered this even in that question where the gentleman asked that question. When you say, are you looking at short term? Are you looking at medium? Are you looking at long term? This is a very important aspect of this. This is, business is not easy. Doing business is not a simple thing as most of the people might think. Yes, there are people who make money in legal ways and also not so illegal legal ways. Then the other one is evaluate refinancing options. So you say you are struggling, you have no money. Now, there are different refinancing options, and then introduce the best option. That's the suggestion that we are bringing out. This checklist is important. You have to evaluate. You can evaluate by yourself these things to very great degree. Then evaluate options. Maybe should I get more capital? Should I get a bank loan? At what rate? Should it be long term? Should I go for debentures? Should I go for preference shares? Should I go for, all kinds of things coming. So if you have the financial expert who understand the practical aspect, he will be able to help you on this one. So refinancing options is another important thing. Then when you revive, it's like a neglected motor car or a neglected aircraft. If it's not performing well, you have to revive every part of that. Same way, you have to revive. When you say revival of that, most important is not one. I have emphasized and I'll keep re-emphasizing. You have to look at your finance, revive your finance, revise your tax, revising your pricing strategy. You have to revive your IT. You have to revive your marketing and sales, etc. Your human resources, you'll have to look at it. No, when I was talking about the how a pilot can pilot, some of these aircrafts, the air crash happened due to plane crashes happen due to pilot error of the pilot. Sometimes they're tired. So are they capable? So you have to evaluate your HR. You have to have good people. You have, whether you, and I'm a strong believer that you have to pay people well and retain good people. That is a very important thing. Not only pay, look after them well. Look after, talk to them nicely. Don't be aggressive. If they are not good enough, chase them out. You have to give the ownership. You have to look at, maybe if it's as you grow, you might have to give them ESOP option, employee share option. Like if you do well, instead of bonus, it doesn't cost you anything. You give some shares in the company. Then they take the ownership, because that will give them the energy to work more, an incentive rather than a cash benefit. It will go off like that. So in a ESOP, there is no cash outflow. But when you give shares in your company, I'm not saying, I mean, you have to be still the major shareholder. You don't give them the right to run the company. You know, there's a way that you can control it. When you give it, they know if the company does well, I'm also entitled to some sort of dividends. One day, if I want to sell this share, this has a value. So they will take the ownership. So that's a very important one. Then I'm emphasizing of introduce cost reduction or cost efficiencies. Now, I'm a firm believer not so much of cost reduction, but cost efficiencies. One might ask, what is the difference? Cost reduction is that you cut staff salaries straight away. Would that help? That can have a lot of adverse effects. I can tell you, one of the companies, during the COVID time, most of the companies reduced their staff salaries. But this particular company was struggling though. But what the, actually it came from that marketing director of that company, whom I know, whom I can interview. He said, he told the CEO and the chairman of the company, during bad times, let's look after these employees. We will give them incentives. We will tell them that we will give you, because everybody suffered, the prices shot up. So they gave them from future, some of these managers are entitled to what they call the bonus, based on their sales. So they gave out of their future earnings they never cut a single cent. And today, that company is doing so well. The people were so energized. People were so encouraged. But what is the cost efficiency? Cost efficiency is, I'll give you an example. One is that have effective, don't have too much of staff, have few staff. And now people have adjusted to working from home. So if it's done properly, that's the cost efficient. There's another important one is, this applies mainly to a manufacturing company where you have, we say, 5 machinery. So most of the people, what do? They run all 5 machinery at the same time. Then your electricity bill shoots up. There is what you call the maximum demand power. So that shoots up, you get a high electricity bill. So, but if you ask them, do they have to run all at the same time? The answer is no. Because if one can produce 1,000, if other can produce 200, other can produce 300, do you have to run everything at the same time? It's an absolute waste, right? That's not lean management. We always encourage people to do lean management, lean manufacturing. So So what you do is, there are specialists. I have met a gentleman who is specialized, and I know it's done in other countries to a great extent. Sri Lanka, I have met only one gentleman. They will run a computer um, um, simulation, and then they will say, run these machines. Then you look at the possibility. They might say, no, I have to have this one also running, right? Okay, you recap that, you reduce your electricity costs. That is your efficiently managing your cost efficiencies and managing. Then the other important is strengthen your controls. Most of the companies are very weak in this area. They don't control they have people take IOUs, they don't give. I'll tell you, you have got to, the frauds that take place in countries, especially in Sri Lanka, is unbelievable frauds. And do you think it's going to improve? There's no way. So strengthening your controls, every area you have to have controls, you have to have manuals, you have to have somebody monitoring those controls, because you must have, you can put some controls, but what could happen is, unfortunately, the controls, they might not follow or they might not comply. Okay, moving on to the other one. Very important thing is preparation of budget. Budgeting is so important, irrespective of the size of the company. Forecasting. What is the difference between budget? Budget is, say that you have done 6 months of the year. So you replace the budgeted figures with the 6 months, and now you initially incorporated the next 6 months of that, and you forecast it, because budgets are normally prepared way before 1 year ahead, sometimes 1.5 years ahead of that one. So things should have changed. So you prepare a forecast and see how your forecast, and if it doesn't look good, as I said that I explained, what you do is you might see, okay, we are doing like this, but your forecast is going like this. Now, that is the time for you to take some measures. That's the importance of a forecast and also a budget to some extent. You're going heading this way, you are here, then you have to take steps to lift this up, change the forecast for your favor. You don't wait till this happens, and when it's finished and said, "Ayo," you don't say, we don't believe in saying, so this is the time that that you take measures. Cash flow is a very, very important thing. At least monthly, you have to do for 1 year. And if you want to do, sometimes you might have to do weekly, sometimes you might have to do daily cash flow, managing your cash flow. Right, sometimes you might have to borrow, sometimes you postpone paying so and so, you play around with that one. Again, so what you do is, the idea of this cash flow is that to manage your cash flow, when you know that when you prepare a cash flow, you might find that it's going down. I hope, Nilu, can you tell me, can they see this, the pointer?
Yes, Mr. Dissanayake, we can all see it.
Okay, that's great. Absolutely great. Okay. So what happens is that when you manage your cash flow, you might say, again, my God, now if I pay like this, it's going to come down. Then what you do is you postpone some of the payments and make that, say that this is your line of your facility. And if you exceed that, what happens? They might give you they might charge penal interest, or else they will, you might not have the facility, you might have to borrow from else. So what you do is, if it's going down, what you do is you postpone and try to maintain like this, and then take measures. So cash flow is another good dashboard to have. Forecasting is another good dashboard to have, indicate. Then introduce a sound management system for debtors and inventory control. We have to have a very sound management. I know in Sri Lanka, most people concentrate a lot on debtors, but unfortunately not on this thing. So this is a very important area. Introduce supply chain management to reduce costs. So this can help the gentleman who asked that question as well. This is a very important thing. In view of the time, I am to sort of take it fast. But supply chain management, I mean, all these components I'm saying are things that will help you, are attributes to have sustained good profits and manage. You have to have them, you have to monitor them, you have to manage them. That is why it's important. Introduce supply chain management, introduce a system of preparation monthly accounts. It's an important thing. And you have to see how accurate these monthly accounts are. Does it make sense? You don't have to be an accountant. 1 month you're having 10 million loss, other month you're having 100 million. In fact, I'm a director of a company and I had a serious situation. I had to be quite, I immediately detected they were trying to hide that in a way, but I had to tell the CFO and the CEO off for trying to do that because it's a, so I detected this. But they have been going on, it has been going on because I joined there recently. So nobody realized what has been happening in the company. So these are some of the things that accountants can do, all kinds of things. And you don't know that, unfortunately. So you might only when things get bust. But here, you might think, what about the auditors? Even the auditors don't go into, unfortunately, that detail. So that's why you have to have some system where you don't have to be an accountant. The directors will know with the dashboards and all that where we are heading. So monitor operations to ensure smooth running of the business. So you have to monitor them. Just because you have controls, it's not at all. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for taking their precious time and to participate in that. I hope that this had helped you to some extent and encourage all of you to join in futures on these similar seminars and also especially on startup your own business, start up your own. Nilu, you could probably ask people for questions and things like that and then take over from here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Dissanayake. Now the floor is open for any questions if you have. Please feel free to use either English or Sinhala, whatever you are comfortable in, to ask your questions.
Or they can even write there, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how they prefer. Whatever they prefer.
I think they can write directly. Probably they will not be able to, because we are also, time is also important for us. And they can write to COSMI, to the Secretary General, and we can direct all those questions to you, Mr. Jagath Dissanayake. And I'm sure we'll be able to do it. And I'm quite happy of this program. To be very honest, that I myself have learned few things about the business culture because of the how you indicators that you are showing. If nothing indicates, everything, we feel everything is going smoothly. End of the year, you're gone down the precipice because you don't know where you are started, like the plane. So the indicators are very important. And this is very good because this is another way of trying to see how business could be run. Startup business is good, but there are ample opportunities in the country for our local produce where we can market it locally and internationally, because this is the only country, everything is imported. Shoe brush is imported, shoe polish is imported, shoe lace is imported. Nobody manufactures here. And it's strange, this country is also importing all those things like tamarind. You think everything is imported. Actually, we should also lobby the government to support through agriculture for agro-based industries here. And I'm sure everybody goes to plant vegetables, nothing comes out of it. There are things that government should come forward to support. If there's any problem, issues, please write to us. We will take this matter directly with the respective institutions. Thank you very much, Mr. Jagath, once again. And I must thank all the participants who got involved in this. And over to Nilu.